afternoon and welcome to Live at 4 on this wintry January day.
Snowy day outside. Just when you brush it all off and get a fresh dusting back. Yeah.
And tomorrow and the next day. And Chris Reese will be along to tell us how much snow we can expect over the next few days coming up. But first, here's what's making news at 4. A teenager is in custody for trying to enter a Madison high school with a knife. How a snowplow driver's quick action helped prevent that from happening.
We'll have the latest from Washington, D.C. The Democrats are making their case today for impeachment. We'll hear their arguments and how lawmakers are reacting so far.
And Janesville police are cracking down on drivers who are speeding in school zones.
Let's take a look outside today. If you could stay at home, it's just the pretty snow, but driving, actually not too many problems. The roads are just wet.
Right, because it's warm enough for the salt to work, so it's not that bad out there, but still, take it easy. And it all adds up. Here's Chris in the backyard. How much are we planning on getting?
Yeah, that's right, guys. It does all add up over time. Now, since the snow began yesterday, we received right around an inch or so. Really, a lot of spots are between that 1 inch and the 2-inch mark. We still have some light snow falling right now. But again, it is very light. Visibility has been reduced, though, down below 2 miles pretty much all day long due to that light snow that we've seen falling. And there's some of that out there right now, but a lot of that's been more so between Madison and Milwaukee as you've begun to travel. But I want to focus on the Midwest as a whole, and I really want to pay attention to what's going on around St. Louis right now. This is that next band of heavier snow that's developing, and that, folks, is going to be moving our direction by the time we head you into tonight and towards the early morning hours tomorrow. And it does all add up over time. While it's kind of been light snow after light snow after light snow, by the time all is said and done, you're going to end up with 4 to 6 inches of snow that you just didn't get all at once. So that next heavier round does arrive tonight. Visibility is going to be staying reduced. I think the heaviest band will move through sometime on Friday night. We're going to be timing that out coming up in the 425 weather segment as well. Here's traffic right now, though. Things are oddly enough moving along. I think a lot of folks have been able to stay home today because traffic right at 4 o'clock is not as heavy as we typically see it, especially between about John Nolan and all the way towards Verona Road. But we're going to continue to watch that traffic as we go through the 4 o'clock hour along with the 5 o'clock hour, and we'll keep you guys up to date.
All right, Chris, we'll check back in just a little while. Thanks so much.
My pleasure.
We start with breaking news in from the Channel 3000 Alert Center. Police say a teenager is in custody after showing up to Memorial High School with a knife. According to a letter from the principal to parents, a snowplow driver called 911 after seeing the teen walking near the school with a long kitchen knife. They said the teen was trying to get inside the school. A school resource officer and other staff were able to disarm the student at the door, and they were taken to the juvenile detention center.
Roads are back open in downtown Madison after someone hit a gas line and caused a leak. It happened just before 9 o'clock this morning on Wisconsin Avenue, a block from the Capitol Square. The gas leak was contained about a half hour later, but crews stayed in the area to monitor natural gas levels inside the former Madison College building. Construction crews working on the building were evacuated. There were no injuries. If you were driving on I-90 this morning, you may have been caught up in this, a 5-mile backup after a crash involving a semi. Dispatchers say 2 cars were involved and 2 ambulances were sent to the scene. No word on injuries. House Democrats laid out their case today for abuse of power against President Trump on day 3 of the Senate impeachment trial.
Natalie Brand is on Capitol Hill. Lawmakers who are acting as jurors are split on how the trial has been going so far.
House managers began the second day of their opening presentations focused on making the case President Trump abused his power.
There was no basis for the investigation that the president was pursuing.
This conduct is not America first. It is Donald Trump first.
Senators are sitting silently through the marathon trial sessions, but outside the chamber, they've been weighing in. Democrats and even some Republicans have praised the House managers on their presentations so far.
I found yesterday's testimony by the House managers riveting.
I thought they did a good job of taking bits and pieces of the evidence and creating a quilt out of it.
Other Republican senators have complained the arguments are repetitive.
I think that every hour that goes by where they don't say something new, they make it easier for people on the bubble to vote against their position.
The same Republicans saying they heard nothing new just voted 9 times on Tuesday to hear nothing new.
Senator Schumer says conversations are ongoing to introduce new witnesses or documents, but Democrats have shot down the idea of a witness swap, testimony from former National Security Advisor John Bolton in exchange for the Bidens. President Trump tweeted that a witness swap would be a big problem for the Democrats and that their presentation was loaded with lies and misrepresentations.
We're looking forward to the chance when we get to lay out our case. This whole thing is illegitimate. It's a sham.
The president will spend part of Thursday evening at a Republican Party event in Florida as House managers continue to argue their case. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
And Joe Biden has also said that he will not participate in any witness swap as part of the impeachment trial. Here's what Senator Tammy Baldwin of Wisconsin had to say about that.
Hunter Biden and Joe Biden have no direct knowledge. They have no firsthand knowledge of that activity, the things that the articles of impeachment are raising, and would have no relevance before this trial.
Meanwhile, Senator Ron Johnson continues to support the president's claims that executive privilege would prevent testimony from people like former National Security Advisor John Bolton and other key officials.
Here we are again in what Jerry Nadler said we should never subject America to is a completely partisan impeachment. Do we want to stretch that thing out for months, going through legal process? Because the president will and should challenge those types of subpoenas.
In local television interviews, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said he would testify if legally compelled to do so by the Senate. The president has said Pompeo would be covered by executive privilege. Pompeo also said the impeachment process is, quote, awfully political.
Governor Tony Evers plans to create a nonpartisan redistricting commission to draw the state's electoral maps next year. He made that announcement last night in the State of the State address. The plan may put pressure on Republicans who control the legislature, but it won't force them to change their plans for next year. Republican leaders showed no signs of taking a different approach to redistricting after the governor's announcement. Meanwhile, Governor Evers has called a special session next week to take up a bill to help rural Wisconsin. The $8.5 million package of bills is designed to help with the crisis that's caused the loss of 1/3 of the state's dairy farms since 2011. Evers says Republicans and Democrats need to work together for farmers. Republican Senate Majority Leader Scott Fitzgerald says he is all ears on the governor's plans.
Police officers in Rock County say they are cracking down on dangerous driving in school zones.
They say speeding and distracted driving is becoming more common near one elementary school in particular. Rock County reporter Adam Duxter joins us live from Cranston Road in Beloit with what officers from BPD are doing about it. Adam?
Yeah, Mark and Susan, believe it or not, Beloit police officers said they pulled over more than 24 cars just in this stretch of Cranston Road alone, right in front of Robinson Elementary School. And that all happened in one morning, yesterday morning. Now, police say they've been getting complaints about bad driving near the school, in the school zone, mainly drivers going well over that 15-mile-an-hour school zone limit. Now, Beloit police say, well, you might have your excuse for driving a little bit over the speed limit. Those excuses hold no weight with them.
Is that excuse going to be good if you hit somebody? Hey, I was late for work. How's that going to play out to the parent of that child? Or you ran into the rear end of another car. If you're the victim car, how would that make you feel? I mean, it just doesn't work.
Now, Sergeant Matt Donovan says this is part of a larger attempt for Beloit police to stop speeders across the city. And while they say here on Cranston in front of Robinson Elementary, they haven't had a major incident or all too many issues, that's exactly what they fear could happen should this speeding continue. So they're trying to crack down on that right now.
Adam Duxter live in Beloit. Adam, thank you.
Dozens of world leaders are gathering in Jerusalem to mark the 75th year since the liberation of Auschwitz. Vice President Mike Pence and House Speaker Nancy Pelosi are among those in attendance at the World Holocaust Forum. Leaders of World War II's 4 allied powers addressed the body, with about 100 Holocaust survivors in attendance. Participants warned that the hatred that fueled the mass murder of more than 6 million Jewish people is festering again. They pointed to swastikas being painted on gravestones and mass shootings at synagogues and called world leaders to action.
One of the country's best known and longest working journalists has died. Jim Lehrer, the co-founder and longtime anchor of the PBS NewsHour, died at his home in Texas. Lehrer and Robert McNeil founded the program in 1975 out of their coverage of the Senate Watergate hearings. Lehrer retired in 2011 after anchoring the network's flagship news program for 36 years. Lehrer moderated a total of 12 presidential debates, more than any other person in U.S. history, and he authored 20 novels. Jim Lehrer was 85 years old.
A legend indeed. Well, 3 U.S. firefighters are dead after their plane went down battling Australia's devastating wildfires. An American water bomber crashed, killing everyone on board. An initial report says there was a large fireball when the plane hit the ground. These air bombers are crucial in the battle against the wildfires, as they can drop more than 4,000 gallons of fire retardant in a single pass. Strong winds and high temperatures are fueling fast-spreading flames in the area of the crash. Local residents call it devastating. Well, Madison firefighters and police officers are getting ready to square off on the ice this weekend.
The family-friendly Battle of the Badges competition raises money to fight opioid addiction and abuse. Our Charlotte DeLeste is here to tell us more about how the hockey match will help. Charlotte?
Well, Susan and Mark, this is the 6th annual Battle of the Badges between the Mad City Police hockey team and Madison Fire Department Club hockey team. It was pretty easy for the two departments to decide which charity to support due to the number of calls they go on a daily basis dealing with opioids and overdose. They chose Safe Communities. All monies raised go specifically to its opiate intervention program, which includes vital recovery coaches.
We are in the hospitals, we're in the jails, you know, in really crisis, pivotal moments in people's lives, and able to offer support with the understanding of having compassion and being able to say, I've been there.
If we can actually get to the core problem, which is the addiction, and we can actually solve a lot of other issues that we're having in our communities as far as crimes that are being committed.
This year's elite sponsor is the Spahn family, who lost their son to an overdose. Safe Communities tells News 3 Now they are honored by their support and willingness to help others get the recovery they need. The event is Saturday at 6:30 p.m. at Hartmeyer Ice Arena. There is free rentals and there's open skate for family before that, and that's from 4 to 6 in the afternoon.
Raising money for a great cause.
Very good cause.
And fun, too, on the side. All right, Charlotte, thank you.
Thank you, Charlotte. Still to come tonight at 4. It's Friday Eve, as we like to call it around here.
We'll find out what's happening this weekend in the 608 when Live at 4 continues.
You're watching News 3 Now, live at 4.
Madison Mayor Satya Rhodes Conway is in Washington, D.C. for the 88th annual U.S. Conference of Mayors.
The gathering is meant to explore innovative solutions to the issues facing American cities today. And earlier today, we talked with Rose Conway about the experience so far. What do you hope to bring home from the conference?
I'm looking for any solutions that we can implement in Madison, and so really focused on my main priorities, of course, having conversations about transit and affordable housing, about racial equity, about climate change. I had the opportunity to see Mayor Lori Lightfoot from Chicago this morning talk about her work on violence reduction in the city. So these are the things that I am hoping to learn and bring home.
I saw on your Twitter feed that you got an opportunity to meet another mayor who's running for president, the mayor of South Bend, Indiana, Pete Buttigieg. What did the two of you talk about?
I did. You know, Pete and I have known each other for years, and so it was really just more of a personal conversation. I also had the opportunity to meet Mayor Bloomberg and have a small conversation with him and watch his speech. So it's been very exciting to see presidential candidates come through, and I really appreciate those candidates that are paying attention to America's cities. So it's nice to hear some of the candidates really recognizing how important our cities are to the future of this country.
Do you feel like there's been more of a bipartisan spirit at this mayor's conference? We talk so much about how divided we are as a country, and now with the impeachment, that really seems to be first and foremost. Does it feel like a different environment there?
It does. It really does, Susan. You know, it's amazing to me how much mayors work together regardless of what political party we might be from. And that has been a theme of this conference, in fact, that we are nonpartisan, we are bipartisan, and that we are working together and have a lot of issues in common. And it's really refreshing, I have to say. I definitely feel like, you know, the mayors of America are pushing towards solutions together.
All right.
It's reassuring to hear.
Enjoy the rest of the conference, Mayor. Thanks for being with us today. Have a safe trip home.
Thank you very much.
And new at 4, Directv has less than a month to remove a satellite from space that's in danger of exploding. The company informed the FCC that the satellite suffered damage to its battery. Boeing makes the satellite and concluded that there is a risk the battery could burst because of the damage. If that happened, it could take out other telecommunications satellites that are nearby in orbit. Grocery delivery will soon be free for Amazon Prime members. Before, it cost members $14.99 per month for the Amazon Fresh Delivery service. Well, starting Tuesday, grocery delivery is free for Prime members who have previously used the grocery delivery service. Prime members who haven't yet ordered groceries can request an invitation, but the company did not say when it'll start taking on new grocery customers. It was a mixed day on Wall Street. The Dow Industrials fell 26 points, closing at 29,160. The Nasdaq added 18. The S&P 500 was up over 3. That's enough for a record close. Well, mild but snowy weather is in our forecast for the next few days. Our Kelly Arthur and Madison Magazine teamed up for a look at what's happening this weekend in the 608.
Mark and Susan, there's plenty of music and dance going on this weekend. From Duluth, Trampled by Turtles brings its high-energy bluegrass and folk music Saturday night to the Sylvie. The band keeps racking up the top bluegrass tracks on the charts. They'll be joined by them Coolie Boys, who have their own punk and bluegrass sound. And there's a chance to see some impressive dancing as well. The Chicago-based dance company The Seldoms will hit the stage this weekend at the world premiere of its production of Flow at the Wisconsin Union Theater. Flow is the Seldoms' interpretation of how climate change is adversely affecting the planet. Catch a performance Thursday or Friday night. And of course, there's some great theater opportunities this weekend. Thursday through Saturday night at the Overture Center, catch Every Brilliant Thing. It's the story of a 6-year-old boy who makes a list of all the brilliant things in the world in contrast to his mother's hospitalization. The show's writers say this play is best for people 16 or older. But for the younger ones, Gino Light tells the story of a scientist who brings a dinosaur to life through puppetry, choreography, and high-tech lighting. The dinosaur encounters other creatures brightly outlined in the darkness. That's also at the Overture Sunday afternoon. You can stay up to date with the best in the Madison area with this month's edition of Madison Magazine, and we'll keep you updated this weekend on News 3 Now this morning.
Keely,
all right, Keely,
thank you. Thank you so much. Coming up, a surgeon is willing to forego his patients' huge medical bills if they agree to pay it forward.
That's coming up later on Live at 4. Take a look at this. This is Blakely Rose Jerrigan's first taste of ice cream and first taste of viral fame. The bug eyes and the grabby hands were the clinchers for this 9-month-old. The little girl received worldwide fame. Get yourself someone who looks at you the way this baby looks at ice cream, says this post. Baskin-Robbins proudly posted, "Too cute." Ice cream-loving Blakely is sort of the opposite of this pickle-hating kid with his contorted face followed by a physical cringe, not to mention pickle juice running down his chest.
Buddy.
You're looking at the sweet and the sour of life. The sweet is definitely worth a second bite.
Oh, that's my girl.
There she is.
Oh, she is so priceless.
She'll never eat regular food again.
Exactly. I was just going to say that.
North Carolina Animal Shelter has taken an unusual approach to getting one particular cat adopted.
The rescue posted her picture with the label, "The World's Worst Cat." The cat named Perdita is described as liking jump scares, lurking, and being the queen of the house. Well, she is a cat, all standard kitty traits. However, it also says she doesn't like kittens. Look at her, look at that look on her face. She doesn't like kittens, dogs, or children, which means she will need to be a solo cat. The post is getting a lot of attention and even a few $100s in donations.
My guess she'll be adopted very quickly.
I think so, too.
You're right, that face.
Yeah.
That's the opposite of the baby's face.
Right, exactly.
World's worst cats. All right, Chris Reese is here now, saving his voice for the weather segment.
Yeah, that's right.
You feel fine?
I feel great. I don't understand. I went to bed last night, all was well. I woke up this morning, and I don't have a voice again, and I got like 10 hours of sleep last night. So it's not like I'm not sleeping. So I'm not sure, but we're going to do the weather segment here coming up after this break. We're going to talk about more snow that's coming in, how that's going to impact both commutes tomorrow. You don't want to miss it, so stay tuned. Well, the snow came overnight last night. We have more rounds of the snow to go as we go through time. Here are just some of those snow totals that have come in from last night. Benton picked up 2 inches. Same for Dodgeville, a little under 2 inches as you work your way towards Portage. Janesville and Madison were just over an inch, and then Watertown was one of those spots with less than an inch of snow. But we've been watching the snow come down all day. It hasn't added up to much, which has actually been good news for the area roadways. So folks who are getting ready to head home for your evening commute, I'd use caution. The roads are wet. Yes, you may run into a slick spot or two, but I'm not expecting any major delays in terms of that evening commute. Now, by the time folks are headed to work tomorrow, I do think we could see some delays, especially from 5 a.m. towards 8 to 9 o'clock. You're going to get the morning rush hour. On top of that, I do think we'll see some snow falling that could be accumulating and limiting some visibilities right around then. Here's those systems that we have been watching overall. 2 areas of low pressure, one over Minnesota. You have another one back down over parts of Kansas. And this one over Kansas is actually going to slowly meander its way towards southern Lake Michigan as we go through the next couple of days. And because of that, we're going to be keeping that snow chance around as we go through the next couple of days as well. I want to pay attention, though, to what's happening around St. Louis. They've had some rain earlier today. Now that colder air is catching up, transitioning things over to some snow, and I do believe that that's going to be headed our direction as we move through tonight. In the meantime, it's just a couple flurries out there. Most of that is east of Madison, and there's all the low-level moisture. So you're seeing these really tiny snowflakes that are coming down at times. 32 degrees. We're right at the freezing mark. That's as warm as we've gotten today. Mostly cloudy skies out there. Those winds coming out of the east at 6 miles per hour. Janesville topped out at 34. They've been about level at 34 since about 11 o'clock today. 20s as you work your way just towards our north and west. Let's put things into motion. I'm going to stand on the western side of the screen. The reason for that is because, contrary to normal, a lot of our snow is going to be working its way from the south and east as we go through the next couple of days. Here we are at midnight, just after midnight. Watch what happens towards the south and east. That next band begins to work its way on in. Now we're at 4:30 in the morning. I think we will continue to see some bands of snow moving into southern Wisconsin. 6:30, rush hour is getting started. But the temperature, folks, the temperature is at 30. That really does work in your favor because it's warm enough for that salt to truly be effective on the area roadways. By 8:30, a lot of this starts to move its way towards the north and west of Madison. Now we're at 10:30. Once again, from the south, we'll see more bands of light snow that'll really persist as we go through the day. But again, they're light. Then we get you towards the evening commute time. That next band of heavier snow begins to get its act together. That moves in tomorrow night. That's going to stick with us as we get you through Saturday morning, and then we will keep the flurry chance around all the way into Saturday afternoon as well. And it begins to add up over time. We're talking another inch or two tonight. Then tomorrow's system comes in, and we add another perhaps 1 to 3 inches on top of what falls, with those heavier amounts being mainly towards the east of Madison. But by the time all is said and done, folks, I still do believe we're talking 4 to 6 inches of snow overall, 3 to 5 as you work your way towards the south. And again, it doesn't come all at once. It adds up over time. Your driving impacts are going to be moderate. Walking and clearing, it's going to be minor. Thankfully, this does come in waves. Alert days for Friday and Saturday with the snow. And the seasons, the true Mother Nature song of the upper Midwest is here at the cloud cover. As you see through that forecast, even Groundhog's Day looking at snowy and cloudy right now. This is honestly amusing to me. I'm not going to lie, just seeing 10 days of clouds. So,
but then it's February. We're done with January.
Right. We're almost done with January, so that is good news. But I'll tell you what, I am going to be surrounding myself with people and light, getting outside as we go through the next 10 days, because last year I learned the hard way what the clouds can do.
Oh,
yeah,
no, you're right.
Yeah,
it's true.
Yeah, so,
very true. All right, you got through it. Good job, Chris.
Thank you.
Rest up. One Nebraska doctor's idea for reducing medical debt is bringing a community together.
Meg Oliver shows us the plan is paying off in more ways than one.
Nebraska surgeon Demetrio Aguila is on a medical mission. After serving 8 years as an Air Force doctor across Asia, he realized he could make an impact closer to home.
We can't ignore the people in our own backyard.
The nerve specialist saw a recurring problem at his clinic, Healing Hands of Nebraska, patients who couldn't afford surgery.
We want to be able to offer hope to patients who have lost hope medically.
6 months ago, Aguila started a program that offers patients the option to pay for surgery by volunteering for local humanitarian groups. He and his staff calculate the number of hours required based on the complexity of the surgery.
I don't care if you're a multi-billionaire or if you're the guy on the street corner with a styrofoam cup. You get offered the same options. Why? Because it's fair.
The arrangement seemed more than fair to Troy Bowers and his wife, Bobby. Medical debt took them to the brink of bankruptcy. So they agreed to pay for Troy's ankle surgery by volunteering at a local charity where clothing and household goods are donated.
So do you have any questions about the procedure.
Jeff Jensen also signed on. He has nerve damage in his feet and worried about paying for his procedure.
There's nothing more depressing than seeing a bill for $18,000, $20,000, $24,000 and going, and how much of this will my insurance cover and how much is mine to cover?
Jensen's surgery added up to 560 hours. Other volunteers are allowed to help. For Jensen, more than 100 stepped up to contribute.
Of those 105, I probably knew 30 or 40 of them. Really, without this program, this surgery wouldn't have been done.
Aguila hopes his mission will inspire more doctors to find creative ways to limit their patients' medical expenses.
This whole practice is about restoring hope for patients by giving them the opportunity to wrest back control of their health care.
Right now, it's a small program with just 8 people, but Dr. Aguila told me since he started this program, his stress level has gone down and his job satisfaction has soared. He hopes other doctors will follow his lead to find unconventional ways to help their patients. Meg Oliver, CBS News, New York.
It's a brilliant idea.
It really is a great idea. All right, coming up tonight on News 3 Now at 5, we're taking a first look inside the redevelopment of the former Oscar Mayer headquarters on Madison's north side. A preview of what's to come at OM Station tonight at 5.
With 8 nominations, Grammy night could be the year of Lizzo. The singer, whose nominations include Album and Song of the Year, is part of a new crop of young and diverse artists vying for Grammy Gold. Rapper Lil Nas X has 6 nominations. Then there's 18-year-old Billie Eilish, the youngest artist in Grammy history to earn nominations in the top 4 categories. Variety reporter Angelique Jackson says this year's Grammys mark a new chapter.
It's not just about radio play anymore. It is about these social media stars that become these massive artists.
While young artists lead the major categories this year, don't count familiar faces out. One highlight could be Tanya Tucker with 4 nominations. The country star could win her first Grammy at the age of 61. The Recording Academy has dropped today's ceremonial red carpet rollout for Sunday night's Grammy Awards here on CBS, and host Alicia Keys canceled all interviews as the organization finds itself embroiled in controversy.
It all stems from bombshell accusations made by the Academy's suspended CEO. Chris Martinez reports from Los Angeles.
As music's biggest voices, such as Ariana Grande and Lizzo, get ready to perform at Sunday's Grammys on CBS, the suspended CEO of the Recording Academy, Deborah Dugan, is putting a harsh spotlight on the integrity of the nominations.
There are conflicts of interest that taint the system.
In a complaint filed Tuesday, Dugan claims one artist, who came in 18th in initial voting for Song of the Year, not only sat on the committee deciding those nominees, but is represented by a member of the Academy board. She says that artist wound up as one of the final nominees.
Not only are there trustees that have conflict of interest on particular artists that are nominated, but more importantly, there are even artists that are nominated that are in the room. So for me, that's just such a blatant conflict of interest.
Dugan declined to name names, saying she did not want to compromise the artist's integrity. She also says it's just a few bad apples causing the problems. Variety's Jem Aswad says the industry's reaction to Dugan's complaint is one of horror.
I got an earful about how angry the creative community is about it. There has not been a smoking gun quite like this one.
Dugan was put on administrative leave last week, accused of creating an abusive and bullying environment by a staffer, something Dugan denies. Chris Martinez, CBS News, Los Angeles.
And the Academy says it is investigating both of Dugan's allegations and the claims against her. And despite the controversy, the show will go on.
You can watch all of your favorite stars perform this Sunday at the Grammys right here on CBS.
Well, coming up, as more cases of the coronavirus appear in the U.S., we're asking experts from the UW Health about some of the signs and symptoms and how to stay healthy.
Happy Thursday evening, folks. We are watching the traffic as folks begin to head home. The good news is it's not as bad as it could be. Traffic is relatively light, but we are still seeing some of those slowdowns. This is the Beltline at Todd Drive right now. Heavy volume in both directions, but the traffic is certainly moving. Here's where things are slow right now, as always, typically between Verona Road and John Nolan, particularly in the eastbound direction. But once you come off Park Street and begin to approach Todd Drive in the westbound direction, you're seeing some slowdowns as well. Right now, those slowest speeds are right around 20 to 25 miles per hour, upwards towards 30 miles per hour. But other than that, things are in good shape. We're also seeing some slowdowns on Park Street as you work your way downtown towards the UW campus, but then outbound East Washington is not really seeing all that much in terms of delays. And then Regent Street, those delays are relatively minor compared to what they could be. That slowest route is eastbound Verona Road from Verona Road to John Nolan. That's taking you about 10 minutes right now. Once you get towards interstates or outside of the city of Madison, things are green. Just take it easy because it is snowing. Those roads are wet, and we want to make sure you get home safe.
All right, Chris, thank you. Chinese health officials are racing to contain a mysterious illness that has killed at least 17 people. The coronavirus has infected nearly 600 people in at least 6 countries, including the United States. A second possible case was reported overnight in Los Angeles. The World Health Organization says it'll decide on Thursday whether to declare a global emergency over the outbreak.
And when we as soon as we went on the air, that has not happened yet.
Right.
6 UW Platteville students who traveled from China are being monitored now for possible coronavirus infection. That's according to Wisconsin Public Radio. 2 of the exchange students are from Wuhan, China, where the outbreak started. They were screened at O'Hare International Airport and showed no signs of the illness. They're living in a residence hall and they are not under quarantine, but they're being monitored regularly as a precautionary measure. And joining us tonight to talk more about this and the warning signs is Dr. Joe McBride, an infectious disease physician from UW Health. Dr. McBride, welcome back. Good to see you again.
Thank you.
So is this coronavirus something infectious disease doctors like yourself are familiar with, or is this something new?
Well, this particular virus seems to be new from what we have at this point. Coronaviruses really describe a whole family of viruses, and coronaviruses we can see in Wisconsin, we can see in Madison. It could be a common cause of the common cold, but this particular coronavirus seems to be a novel and new virus.
So it mutates, or how does a new virus come to life?
Right, exactly. So viruses are made up of DNA just like any other living thing on this planet. There can be mutations in the DNA which allow it to maybe jump from one species to another or become a little bit more dangerous or virulent, as we say.
So this one apparently causes pneumonia-like symptoms, which is similar to the SARS outbreak.
Right.
So are you starting to put the puzzle pieces together about what to look for?
So coronaviruses themselves can cause respiratory tract infections, and it's a spectrum of disease. So even with this new novel coronavirus, some people might just have symptoms of a common cold, but other people could have more dramatic symptoms with pneumonia or even severe respiratory failure and death.
So it's treated like a pneumonia?
Yeah, it is. So when people would have this type of disease, and if they had a severe case, what they would do in the hospital setting is try to maintain them breathing properly. Sometimes they might need mechanical ventilation, like a breathing machine. They would maintain their blood pressure appropriately. So it's a lot of supportive care because there isn't any direct medication to try to cure this virus.
As far as we know, it's highly contagious. So is it just a matter of time before is it something we need to be concerned about here in southern Wisconsin?
So great question. We really don't know too much about the virus. It's relatively in its infancy for our knowledge at this point. There does seem to be data that it is person-to-person communicable, so it can be transmitted with coughs and colds. But so far, there's really minimal evidence that there's a high risk for people here in Wisconsin and here in the United States in general. And also, just on the other hand, this is the height of flu season, certainly. So coughs, colds, that's much more likely to be influenza than a virus that is coming from abroad like China.
So no reason to lose sleep at this point here in southern Wisconsin.
Right, in southern Wisconsin, if you had these symptoms, again, vast majority of people are going to have something like flu, which we're used to, but yet still can be dangerous, and I certainly would still seek medical care. But your risk for this particular coronavirus at this time is, again, very, very low.
Slipping on the ice is probably a bigger hazard.
Yes, I would agree.
That's true.
All right, we'll keep an eye on this, and we'll have you back if necessary. Doctor, thanks for being with us.
Dr. McBride, great to see you. Thank you for coming today.
Thank you.
Final check of your forecast coming up.
Your roll playback.
Snow and snow and snow.
Yeah, we're going to continue to see light snow as we go through the next couple of days, which for some reason I'm all smiles about.
You always are.
I have no idea why. But the good news is it's not going to be as impactful as if it came all at once.
That's
so
good.
It's a little bit more enjoyable, or for some people, it's a little bit more of a nuisance just to see the light snow around. But we're going to see more of that tonight. That'll accumulate around an inch again. Those lows will be near 30. We'll see light snow off and on pretty much all day tomorrow as well. South of Madison, closer towards that state line, it might begin to mix in with a little bit of rain. We'll see those highs right around 36. I'm keeping a close eye on tomorrow night into Saturday morning. That's when I think we see the most snow at once. Probably, again, 1 to 3 inches or maybe 2 to 4 in some spots.
Mid-30s, that's going to melt a little bit of it.
I know, some of it does melt. We actually have seen a little bit of melting and compacting as we've gone throughout the day. So again, not all at once. Clearing it's not going to be that big of a deal just because you're able to do so lightly. You just have to do it more than once.
Right.
A broom maybe instead of a shovel.
Yeah, seriously.
All right. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Chris.
Tomorrow here on Live at 4, our K9 correspondents have the top animal stories of the week.
And our Michael Bruno goes backstage at Stage Q's production of a new American play called Next Fall. That's coming up tomorrow on Live at 4.